Hi everybody, it's Sandra Green here, founder of the WLA, and welcome back to another weekly inspirational interview on different aspects of leadership. Now, you can probably tell from where I'm stood that I'm near the sea. There's a bit of a giveaway right behind me. And as I'm walking along the coastal path this morning, I noted a naval ship out at sea. You may or may not be able to see it from here. And it reminded me of a really fabulous story about two Dutch naval officers, and it's called the Dutch Naval, no it's not, it's called the Admiral Principle. And I wanted to tell you this story because I think it's a great leadership lesson for how we can be selfless in our leadership. And the story goes like so. These two young men were officers at the time in the Dutch Navy, and they decided that what they would do whenever they were out in social functions and gatherings, that they would talk very positively about their fellow officer. So for example, they would say, hey, you know, have you met Charlie? He's a real inspiration. He has such great camaraderie with the guys. Or have you met George, because George has done this and this in his career. So they would beef each other up. Now, they didn't do this for any motive other than the fact they genuinely respected and liked and valued each other. And what happened? Well, what happened was they went public with this on the day that they were both made Dutch admirals, and they were the youngest officers to ever make admiral status, and they put it down largely to the fact that there was all this positive discussion about each other. And I thought, what an amazing story that is, and how can we apply some of that principle in our own day-to-day work? And I want to give you a couple of thoughts around what you might be able to do with this, because you know how you feel when somebody gives you unwarranted positivity and praise, and somebody talks very positively about the things that you've achieved, and if you're in a meeting and someone points you out for something that you've done, or you achieve a particular award or whatever. So as a leader, my encouragement to you is, what are you doing selflessly to nominate, to volunteer, to promote, to sponsor other people that are either in your team, or maybe even more importantly, people that aren't in your team that you want to pick out for particular good work that they've done? And I also want to challenge you with this question. I worked for Boots many years ago, and at the time there was a chief exec within the organisation who would ask this particular question. At every single performance meeting he had with his team, he'd ask them, how can I be the best boss that you've ever had? I'll just repeat that. How can I be the best boss that you've ever had? I think that's an incredibly brave question to ask, actually. How can we become a better version of ourselves? And are we willing to take the feedback and do something with it? So there's no point asking the question if you're not going to act on it. So I would encourage you to start thinking, would you ask that to your team? I'd also like you to ask two other questions. Firstly, if you have children, I want you to be very brave and go home and ask your kids, how can you be the best mum or dad that could possibly be on the planet? What would be a better version of who you are? And you'll be quite amazed at how insightful your kids are. I know I've done it myself, and there were a few home truths and a few lovely things that came back. And if you are, we are all sons and daughters, if you have the opportunity to speak with your parents and ask them, how could you be the best son or daughter that they've ever had? It might be a bit tricky if you're one of 8 perhaps, but you get the idea. Start to seek out information that makes you a best version of yourself, and combine that with promoting and helping other people by praising them for things that they've done. Best of luck, have a great week, and as always, let me have your feedback and your comments. Thanks, bye.